Hey, what's up? Welcome to my complete guide to the final boss of Eurylo 4, the Cocolia fight. To enter this area, you need to have hit Trailblazer level 24 and continue the main story quests. This guide will be covering how to fight this boss and what types of characters you want to use. There are two ways you can fight this boss. First in the story, and secondly as an Echo of War to farm trace material, relics, and possible light cones. You can fight the story bosses 3 times a week total, so you might be fighting this boss more or less often based on how many of the trace materials you need. Traces are an important upgrade for characters in Honkai style that give the characters new passives to upgrade their strength. The Cocolia fight drops Guardian's Lament, an important material for leveling up traces of over half the cast in the current game. Most of these traces are important for our characters to truly work, so you'll definitely have to kill this boss multiple times if you want your character's full strength. The boss also drops some useful light cones, which are Quid Pro Quo, Ramada, Year of Wildfire, River Flows in Spring, Past and Future, Woof Woof Walk Time, and the Seriousness of Breakfast, as well as the Thief and Musketeer sets, which eventually can even drop as 5-star at higher equilibrium level. When you initially fight them in the story, you'll have to be using the Trailblazer in your team at the minimum level of 30. Partially through, you'll obtain the Trailblazer Fire Element transformation and be forced to use them in the fight. But don't worry, because fortunately they're actually very well suited to this. They have really nice shields to protect the team, and the boss is weak to fire, and the character also has really useful AoE for the fight. The Fire Element Trailblazer is actually one of the best characters in the game, so you'll probably be using them a lot. Another important note is that in this fight you'll have a giant robot at the ready. As you attack or are attacked, it builds up the skill on the right side above your skill, and when finally charged, you can use it at any point for a giant fist to come down doing some damage, but also a huge amount of Cocolia's toughness bar. Cocolia is weak to fire, lightning, and quantum, and just like the Doomsday Beast has 2 phases. In the first, she'll mainly do some single attacks against you, but she's also able to summon 2 Lances of the Eternal Freeze. These lances will do some pesky area damage, so it's recommended you deal with them with some fast area damage or single target, or you could possibly ignore them completely and just focus down Cocolia, but she loses her weaknesses while they're out. The left lance will be weak to fire and lightning, while the right one is weak to fire and quantum. Another strategy can be to save the robot's fist attack for when she summons them to almost instantly break them, generally leaving them with a sliver of health. She's also able to mark you with a target debuff, and the next turn will do a stronger attack that freezes you. Once you've depleted her first health bar, she'll enter the second phase and begin charging a large attack. It's recommended you shield or heal the team if you're low before you phase her, or your characters might be a bit too slow on the turn bar to actually react before she uses it. After the attack, she'll also use a single target attack that can imprison you, so watch out for getting pushed back in the turn order and slowed. She'll also begin to charge her ultimate skill again, and the best way to stop it is to weakness break her, which will cancel it. The robot does a large amount of toughness damage, so having it ready for the second phase can be a good idea. The rest of the fight mainly becomes a race against time to finish her, as she continually uses her charging ultimate. Also, every time she uses her ultimate, the music becomes very epic, so I actually recommend you keep the music on for this fight. Cocolia is a pretty epic fight and has a few annoying tricks, but overall, I believe you'll be able to handle it just fine. When fighting the boss at a later time through the Echo of War system, the boss is basically the same as before, just with an inflated health pool, toughness bar, and increased damage. The same strategies as before apply, the main difference would be that your team doesn't need to have the Trailblazer. When bringing characters, I just recommend fire, lightning, and quantum characters, and a healer, and you should be overall fine. I'd like to mostly mention a couple of free characters that are good against her as well, which would be Serval and Asta, as their elements are actually really good versus Cocolia, and you can generally fit them into a lot of teams, and they're also guaranteed to be obtained by every account. Having only a couple of characters with strengths versus her is usually enough, and you can mostly build single target as the robot's able to do some decent area damage. You also might want to get used to this fight, because you'll actually have a really hard version of this eventually in the simulated universe. So understanding how this boss works might be a little bit helpful for when you eventually reach that mode. That's all for now. I hope this video helped you in some way. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you next time.